in our fourth spot, our fourth finalist, Caleb Polley, and he'll be talking about Boogaloo Beds. So let's hear it for Caleb.
So hi everyone, my name is Caleb and I'm the CEO of Boogaloo Beds. We're building smart beds for people with autism, dementia, and other disorders. And to start things off, I wanted to show you a quick video made by a young girl with autism named Carly.
How can I help?
So Carly made that video to show others how she feels during times of sensory overload, something she experiences almost every day. And a few months ago, I met a young boy named Josh, and he experiences sensory overload as well. At 7 years old, Josh has a big life ahead of him. He's fun, smart, and loved by his family. And he also has autism, and this makes life a little bit harder. He has a lot of issues calming down and often only gets a few hours of sleep a night. 80% of kids with autism have daily sleep issues like Josh. I don't know about you guys, but when I don't sleep as well, I'm more temperamental, I don't have as good of energy, even my physical growth is stunted. For someone that has a condition that lasts his entire lifetime, this is really tough. 50% of these kids also have severe safety concerns. The most common is elopement. Others have seizures or self-harm issues. And these issues, they don't only affect Josh, they affect his entire family, resulting in job loss, divorce, or having to move houses entirely. The root of these issues is sensory sensitivity. Many people with autism are unable to filter out stimuli. As a simple example, Josh often cups his ears to block out sound and rocks back and forth to help with his sense of balance. Sleep is constantly disrupted by stimuli from siblings, neighbors, or household activity. As well, these sensitivities can often result in a fight or flight response. Or in other words, they run out of the house or have meltdowns, or they may hurt themselves or harm others. To help with these issues, we're creating Boogaloo Beds. Our canopy blocks outside stimuli, creating a cozy, safe space. We then use soothing sensory stimuli, such as lights, sounds, vibrations, and weighted blankets. To help with safety, we provide heavy padding for protection during meltdowns and cameras linked to motion sensors that parents can remotely monitor. The long-term vision is to use sensors and software to provide proactive guidance to parents and valuable data to teachers and doctors. Doctors would find immense value in understanding how newly prescribed medications or therapy are affecting a person, while teachers have told us that almost every morning they're asking special needs families, how did your child sleep the night before? Because it's such a good predictor of behavior that day. Our bed could provide this data to them completely autonomously. So far, we've built 3 prototypes, received feedback from over 250 families and doctors, refined our messaging in global pitch competitions, lined up our manufacturers here in Colorado, and validated our FDA strategy. I want to take a second here to walk you through some of the feedback we've gotten from families so far. The top left quote, to me, was the most moving. A mom emailed me frantically a few weeks ago, pleading for a bed because she just broken her shoulder chasing her son during a sensory meltdown. From these parents' feedback, we know that we have a product that has the potential to dramatically improve their lives. In fact, I keep this board printed at home as a reminder of the importance of our mission. Now, there's really 2 ways that parents go about solving these issues right now. The first are sleep drugs, which are often prescribed as toddlers. Many parents hate giving these, as they can have horrendous side effects. In fact, CU Denver recently put out the world's largest autism sleep study that found that although these drugs do put the kids to sleep, basically by knocking them out, they often result in worse, more aggressive behavior the next day. Parents do see a need to help with these issues, though, so many have started making their own crude versions of our product, while the professional products are essentially cages that only focus on safety via confinement and ignore much broader sensory and sleep needs. These products have a combined $250 million in annual revenue, though, and they've already set up the insurance codes for us to be fully reimbursed at a $10,000 price point. Now, let's dive into the business metrics a little bit. So based on our current bill of materials, our cost of goods sold is around $2,000. This product can be fully reimbursed for $10,000, which is in line with, if not less, than most of our competitors. We'll then profit $3,000 to $5,000 per bed, depending on our distribution strategy. And remember that software I was telling you about earlier? Well, Power Wheelchairs, which are a similar class of medical device, have their software fully reimbursed at $500 per year per user on a recurring basis. With all the value that we're providing not only families, but also the doctors, I'm confident that we could do the same. And then finally, we expect a 5-year sales window post-sale where they're still using the product. In many cases, it might be longer, where we could sell additional things like bedding, sensory devices, or video consultations with sleep specialists. Now, I want to take this chance to walk you through the insurance business model, as it's a little bit complicated, but we've taken a lot of time to understand it. So parents would go to their pediatrician to get a prescription for our product. They'd then take that prescription to the distributor, who bills insurance or Medicaid. Insurance advances the payment to us, the vendor, with a 4 to 6 week billed lead time. This is huge because we don't have to hold inventory and really helps with our cash flow. After that, we ship the product back to the distributor, who has a technician who takes it to the family's home. They set up the product, train the family on how to do it, and also does repairs throughout the lifetime of the product. Now, you may think that this is a small niche market, but in fact, autism now affects 1 in 68 kids born, showing a 1,000% increase over the last 4 decades, and is expected to top $1 trillion in societal cost by 2025. In America alone, there's over 1 million kids with autism. At our $10,000 price point, that's an addressable market of $10 billion, and we don't think that the applications stop there. We're constantly learning about new conditions and disorders that a Boogaloo could help with, including dementia, epilepsy, Alzheimer's, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and more. In combination, we have the potential of helping over 100 million people worldwide. Now, as you guys may know, hardware is hard. Things can and will go wrong. That's why we're manufacturing local and selling local to start. We're currently raising a seed round with some prominent investors already committed. After that, we'll manufacture our first unit. We'll then take this unit on a local Colorado roadshow to associations we've already been working with. From their feedback and also to drum up demand, we'll then manufacture 5 more units for our launch in early next year. After that, we'll focus on further expansion into distributors, as they already have this existing sales flow. We're confident that we can displace their existing sales flow from the one that we've talked to here in Colorado. They sell 10 beds per week in Colorado alone, and we're confident that we can replace that because our product offers so many additional features for the same price. After that, we'll drum up user demand through online marketing, influencer marketing, events, and community building. The goal of this is that families will start going to their doctors to get this product. Over time, doctors will learn about the success stories and how much this is helping, and they'll start referring it to patients without any marketing needed. We'll be able to hit $2 million in our first year of revenue by selling 200 beds. Now, we have a long-term vision, but it's broken down into achievable milestones. At launch, our MVP, or what I like to call our minimum lovable product, will be a simple bed and canopy system with lights, speakers, vibration, and an off-the-shelf baby monitor that we white label. Then, over time, as we generate traction, we'll layer in software, license sensors, and use that data to give data to doctors and teachers. Finally, we definitely see a big opportunity to create a much lower cost version that's not insurance covered once we have better economies of scale, and that would allow us to reach millions of people across the world. We have a team who's ready to pull this off as well. At 15, I started and scaled a 6-figure online marketing business. And through college, I founded an event planning company that hosted over 20,000 people. I've also gained valuable sales and marketing experience at companies like SendGrid and BlackBerry. Our COO, Kevin Custer, is a serial entrepreneur who's on the National Autism Society board. His previous company, Autism Pro, generated over $10 million in revenue and was acquired within 19 months. And we've also partnered with an amazing local manufacturing firm who has decades of experience in medical devices and beautiful home furniture. Finally, we're collaborating with CU Denver's world-renowned assistive technology lab to help us with usability testing, sleep studies, and backing us up with some great mentors in engineering and clinical research. We have some big problems to solve that affect millions of people, a business model that will allow it to quickly scale, and all of our partners and channels lined up. We're currently raising $250,000 to get us to those first $2 million in sales. This $25,000 from this competition would be a massive asset in being able to manufacture this first bed within the next few months. Everything else is lined up. In conclusion, we believe that every person has the right to build a happy, productive life. A life where they get a good, safe sleep every night. And with Boogaloo Beds and this funding, we'll be one step closer to making that a reality for Josh and millions of other people around the world. Thank you. I would love to answer any questions.
Let me start off. I don't know if the mic. Oh, let me start off with a question about risks. What do you think your top risks are in terms of implementing this plan?
Yeah, so I think some of the biggest risks are that we are a manufacturing product, and that's why we've really broken it down into these achievable step-by-step milestones. Originally, we'd love to do software. We'd love to have a full IoT product that you control every feature through an app. But I think to start off, we're building the bed, then we're layering in the electronics, then layering software control, and finally getting the whole technology suite.
I may have missed some of this in your presentation, but
Sure.
break down the market opportunity by insurance versus private, if you would, and how the margin profile differs going after each market.
Yeah, so there's definitely two categories. One is insurance, which also covers Medicaid. Many people don't know this, but in the case of Medicaid, almost every special needs family has Medicaid. It's not income-based within a special needs family. And Medicaid is already covering all of our competitors' products, doing over $250 million a year across that. There is the other side of direct-to-consumer. Many families might not want to deal with insurance. So there is that aspect. In the US, there's about 1 million kids with autism. In terms of the specific safety needs that would allow for coverage of this product, we're looking at more near 150,000 kids. That's US only. Actually, Europe and Australia have much better coverage even for this type of product for special needs families. There's some very large companies doing similar things on the sensory side there that are fully covered, and we see that as a big expansion zone as well.
So you walked through the economics, the unit economics in an insured scenario.
Yep.
So what do those unit economics look like without that?
So our price would still be the same, like our cost, sorry, not price. Our cost of goods would still be the same. At scale, we're looking at around $2,000 for these first 10 units. We're quoted at around $3,000 to $3,500. We would drop the price, this is what all the competitors do as well for direct to consumer, to closer to like $5,000 to $6,000 per bed when it's actually just paying cash. Most families that have the money to do it will just go that route. The others will go the insurance route, and that price of around $8,000 to $10,000, sometimes up to $25,000 depending on features, is fully validated by these other products being sold.
You mentioned you were looking at the FDA and your strategy around that. Can you talk to that a little bit? Does this need to be FDA approved?
Yeah, I can definitely talk to that. So because it is insurance reimbursed and we're targeting a specific type of person with a medical disorder, it is a medical device. But the good news is here, our product is a Class 2 510K exempt device. For anyone that doesn't know medical devices, that means we don't actually have to get approval from the FDA. What we have to do is we have to register every year so that they can keep track of us. We have to keep a quality system that shows our manufacturing process. And then for our electronics, we have to get the same safety certifications as this clicker would get, with a little bit extra because we're a medical device. But it's there's certifications done for every type of electronic product.
So once you've achieved those certifications, there's no restriction on sales, you can go at it.
Correct.
Okay.
And actually, if we don't do the electronics, we're in an even lower class that's the same as Band-Aids or medical scissors called Class 1. And that has, you don't even need those certifications or the quality system. All you have to do is register.
One more question. It was hard to kind of see your financials, and I don't recall you saying, but when is your break even?
So our break even would be in 2020. I can try to bring that back. So we're looking at cash flow break even around the beginning to middle of 2020. We have a pretty high margin, and because we don't have to hold inventory, it really helps with our cash flow. We don't have to keep manufacturing huge amounts. We do it on a 1-by-1 or like 5-by-5 basis. As orders come in, we're paid in advance.
How many projected units is it at break even?
A little over 200.
Okay.
You had mentioned that you would have a lower cost version, and I'm wondering how you're looking at the marketing to the older crowd, to 50 and over, or like you had said, maybe Alzheimer, dementia patients.
Yeah, so we've actually gotten a ton of interest, specifically in very late stage dementia. That could also probably be an insurance covered product at that point, and we'd like to make a very good product for these people. They have lots of sleep issues, lots of sensory issues that aren't really handled well with medication, and also lots of safety and fall risk, which are all helped with our product. For the low cost version, that'll probably be 3 to 4 years out at the earliest, just because we see this as really, we want to build the best product possible, create traction and revenue, and then our costs for that low cost version will go down. For now, we're really focusing on the kids market with autism, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy, and then we'll start to move into these other markets once we really refine that.
Does the feature set vary at all as you get into different, maladies and issues?
So the usefulness of each feature can change a little bit. Like I mentioned, many kids with autism have sound issues. You'll see them in public with earmuffs. They almost always have music or white noise playing at night in their rooms. We're amalgamating all those features into one bed. The beauty of it is that each of those features can be customizable. So we've seen the core as sound, vibration, and light. And then we'll also probably sell essential oils and weighted blankets, which we'll just use suppliers for. Parents can pick which feature they want to use for their kid, and over time, I think the kids will grow. Depends what the kid really needs, but it can be fully customized to their needs.
I think I heard you say that your bed could be at a price point of $25,000. Is that correct? I mean, are there enough? What my real question is, what are all the bells and whistles? What's the high end?
Yeah, so our competitors, specifically that wooden cage-like product, they have one model that's up to $26,500. It has motors in it that do actuating lifts for the patient. Many kids have issues with vomiting or incontinence, and actually raising their head helps with that. We're keeping this initial launched version pretty simple, but we definitely see opportunity to add in motors like that, things such as sensors for incontinence or vomiting issues in the night. At launch, we're keeping it pretty simple to get there, but it can go up from there.
What is your exit strategy?
Yeah, so I would really love to build a long-term business with this. That really is the goal right now. There are exit strategies of either being acquired by a large hospital bed company like Hillrom or Stryker. The largest company in this space is called Boogaloo Beds, and they're actually at CU's Children and Adult Hospital, and they're only hospital setting focused. They do nothing in home care. They're over $100 million in revenue with 870 employees, and they just got acquired by private equity like 7 months ago. So there is that option as well if we get to that level. Private equity, also strategic, or we just keep running on cash flow and helping people.
Quick question on your margins. You'd mentioned that the average sale was going to be $10,000, and then your margin was going to either be $3,000 to $5,000, depending on your distribution method. So that's a pretty big difference, 30 to 50% margin. So what are the different factors as far as deciding what your distribution channel will be?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that each distributor, it changes state by state, but they do charge. There's a fee in that distribution process. So from what we've heard, it's $1.5 up to $3,000 per bed. The reason they can do that is they're actually able to bill insurance, which is a private company. We don't have the license to do that. Eventually we could. And then they also have technicians that go out and do a home evaluation to make sure the product fits right. They train the family, they install the product, and they do repairs over the lifetime of the product. So that's a big chunk of that margin is coming out of that distribution cost. I see that as a huge asset because they're taking away a lot of the heavy lifting and they have this existing sales flow. The other part of the margin is in our marketing cost. We're going to have to reach these families, and some of that can be fairly expensive. We have a high margin, so our cost of acquisition can be pretty high to do that powerfully. Long term, I'd love for doctors to be able to start just referring this in, and then our margins increase. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Caleb and Boogaloo Beds.